everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of Sista Jaah Right. And so you guys know this is my weekend review of trending topics, and I break the videos up to I cover the women in one video and the men in the other video, and the men's one is called Brothers How Y'all Doing. And so I posted that one not too long ago, so you can go and check that one out after you check this one out. Let's go ahead and see what our sisters was into last week. So to start us off, we have Cardi B, and you guys know that Cardi had been indicted on charges along with two people, Towanda Burpo and Jeffrey Bush. And so they were charged with misdemeanor assault for allegedly throwing glass bottles at two bartender sisters inside the College Point strip club in August of last year. And so Cardi B allegedly planned the attacks with Jackson Burpo using social media chants. And Bush was allegedly directed to record the attacks, which would be really stupid. But that's according to the indictment that was unsealed on last Tuesday. And so Jackson Burpo allegedly admitted to police that she smiked a drink on one of the victims, and that was in the court documents. And so after the entertainer turned down a no jail deal plea earlier in the year, the Queens prosecutors decided to move forward and present the case to a grand jury. And you know it doesn't take much for grand juries to return indictments. It happens all the time. So Cardi B, you probably should have just let this one go, because now they're going to try and make an example out of you. So instead of, facing a misdemeanor, Cardi B is now facing multiple felony charges related to the incident. And so Stacey Richmond, an attorney for Jackson Burpo and Bush, entered not guilty pleas on their behalf, and the trio each face up to 4 years in prison for each attempted assault charge that they face. And in other Cardi B news, Cardi B tried to trademark her catchphrase, occurred, but the U.S. Patent and Trademark officials turned her down, saying basically that the slogan was a widely used commonplace expression and did not fit the bill to deserve a trademark. And so I've talked about the whole copyright and trademark situation when the rapper Kaya was going at it with T.S. Madison. Remember, they had the online show, The Queen's Court, and so T.S. Madison had gone behind Kaya's back and filed for a trademark and copyrighted the Queen's Court. And so I was explaining to people that it's really not that simple, because you have to prove, so with copyrights, you have to prove that you are the original owner of what it is that you're trying to copyright, and that there's too much information showing that Kaya actually created the Queen's Court format. So I doubt if T.S. Madison would be able to get that copyright, and I don't think she did, because she later came out and changed the name to the Supreme Queen's Court. And then as far as the trademark was concerned, you don't just file a trademark. It can take up to a year to get a response back on a trademark. Just because you pay the money and file the paperwork is not a guarantee. And if they turn you down, you don't get your money back. You have to hire lawyers, and the lawyers try to prove that you own the trademark. It just doesn't work that way. And the example that I gave was with Beyonce, because Beyonce was trying to trademark the name Blue Ivy, but it turned out that there was a company, I believe in North Carolina, where the lady had this business called the Blue Ivy that was older than our dear Blue Ivy, Beyonce's daughter. And so the lady basically told them that she would sell them the name for $10 million, but they didn't want to buy the name. They didn't want to pay the lady. They wanted to take the trademark. And I haven't heard anything else about that case to see if Beyonce and Jay-Z are still pursuing it, or if they paid the lady for the name, or what's going on with that. So Cardi B learned that trademarks are not that easy, and the courts say that she cannot trademark that phrase. And even though the trademark office, you know, had tons of different examples of her using, or of that phrase being used, they're saying that the majority of the people using it was just her fans, you know, who loved hearing her say that. And so they started, you know, it became a catchphrase that they started saying. And but it's out there, you know, so it's so commonly used that, you know, how would she even control it? Like, are you going to tell people that they can't use the phrase? Like, what would be the purpose of her trying to trademark that name? And so there was also examples of the Kardashians being associated with the phrase over the years, which officials felt justified their decision to deem it a common expression. And I'm thinking the Kardashians probably contacted the trademark office and gave them that bit of information and told them not to let Cardi B get the trademark. And so then it seems that a few of Cardi's fans already beat the star to the punch and had filed similar trademark applications before she filed her own back in March. See how your fans do you? They trying to rip you off. You know, they encourage you, yeah, trademark, knowing good and well that they had already filed the trademark paperwork. So then we move over to R. Kelly's biggest stalker of them all, and that would be Miss Towanda Pace. So, you know, for Towanda to be a victim, and for Towanda to be one of the people in the indictment, like she got 11 charges pending against this man in his upcoming cases. So you would think that she would go somewhere and sit down, sort of like the Lanita Carter lady. You know, she said what she said, and then she went and sat down somewhere, and we ain't heard from Lanita Carter since that video popped up of her doing that spoken word piece. But anyway, Towanda cannot stay off of social media. She cannot keep her mouth shut. She cannot stop answering questions. And I don't know if she's just too dumb to realize that there are a team of social media investigators right now that's combing through all of her social media from way back then on her MySpace page and all of that. They're monitoring everything that the girl is saying on social media right now. But what did she do, y'all? Towanda says she's writing a new book. So the book is supposed to be a follow-up to the first book that she wrote. And basically, I guess she's going to be talking about her experience coming forward and having these charges pressed against this man. But Towanda, I think, is so psychologically damaged that she may be trying to self-sabotage this case so that she doesn't have to go on trial, that she doesn't have to testify, that she doesn't have to sit there while Nicole Blank Becker get all up in her behind, up in her colon and everywhere else, because she just cannot stop. Like, why would you write a book when all of this is going on? Because if there's any contradictions, and we know there's already been hundreds of contradictions with Towanda and statements that she's made, things that she's posted on social media, and how people have gone back and found her tweets from Twitter where she wasn't even going under the name of Towanda Pace. Like, I don't know how people be finding this information. I don't know if people be coming up who were friends with Towanda 10 years ago, 20 years ago, however long it was, and, you know, just calling her out and putting this information out there. But you know, if the people on social media can find this information, that R. Kelly's defense team is not going to have a problem finding it. So once again, when they pulled Towanda up there on that stand, I want to hear how they just gonna rip her apart, because we know it's going to happen. But will you guys be buying Towanda's new book? It's called Coming Forward. I'll put the cover of the book cover there. I'll put the image of the book cover in this video. Then our next person is the Towanda Burke lady, who's over the Me Too movement. She was interviewed in Playboy magazine by Dream Hampton. And I was just like, Lord Jesus, number one, why is this woman in Playboy? Like, why did Playboy think this was okay? Okay, like, thinking about what they stand for and the whole Hugh Hefner legacy, why would they put Towanda Burke in the magazine? But I went ahead and broke down and read the article. And so it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, but I wasn't surprised that with Dream Hampton actually doing the interview, that at every opportunity she had, she tried to throw R. Kelly's name in it. But I want to applaud Towanda Burke because she didn't fall for it at any point in time. Like, she stayed on message, she stayed on topic, talking about growing up and having boys and men, harass her and make comments and stuff like that, try to touch her. And so as I was reading the article, and I guess it just goes to show how people receive things differently, because even, here in Florida growing up, how boys would try to feel on your booty and stuff like that. And we would just like slap them, hit them, and push them off and go on. And it was no big deal. But then for some people, they internalize that and it becomes a part of who they are psychologically. And I thought it was so interesting because I follow this church in Chicago called All Nations Worship Assembly, and yesterday's sermon by their pastor, Matthew L. Stevenson III, was so powerful. I can't wait till they put it up on YouTube, and I'll actually tag, once they put it up there, they usually upload on Tuesdays, and so once it's uploaded, I'll come back and tag that video into this video. But he was talking about generational curses, and he was basically saying that our personalities are based on the secrets of our parents. And so if our parents did things that they were afraid to talk about, afraid to share with their kids, then the kids ultimately pick up on that tension and that stress, and then they, internalize that, and it becomes a part of who they are. So in this article, when Towanda Burke was talking about, her experiences and being afraid to walk down the street because she knew these guys were going to be like catcalling her and, trying to reach out and touch her and stuff like that. So she, in turn, became overprotective of her own daughter. And so rather than sit down and talk to her daughter about it, she tried to protect the daughter. So she would like go walk with the daughter when she knew the daughter was going down these certain streets where these guys were. And then I think she said one day there was a group of girls walking, and then they were walking, and it just so happened that the girls got to the guys first. So, the guys were like bothering the girls. The girls was like, we ain't here for it. And then one of the guys saw her daughter, and then he was like, oh, that's what I want right there. And so then her daughter became really frightened, and then she had to speak up to the guy, and tell the guy to leave her daughter alone. But I was thinking, like, would that experience have been different for her daughter had she actually sat down and talked to her daughter and, told her daughter how to act in certain situations? Like, if you see these guys on the side of the road, go across the street and walk down the other side of the road, or be strong enough to say, if you hit me, I'm going to knock your ass out, or something like that. And so the article to me was interesting, and I might actually do a whole separate video on that article because there were some other things that I found that was interesting that I would like to expound on a little bit more. But Towanda Burke has an article, and it was a long article, y'all. So if you don't like to read, don't go look up that article because it was very long, in Playboy magazine. And Hugh Hefner probably turning over in his grave right now, like, who told y'all to bring that woman on my platform? But anyway, let's move on. And then here is a topic that I love: tennis, tennis, tennis. I swear for the last, oh my God, probably the last 2 months, my television has been on the tennis channel. Like, I had to like physically force myself to get up and put on something else. And I'm glad that Queen Sugar is back, because now I have something to look at on television. Queen Sugar, Charlotte to Have and to Hold is another good show. Bravo's New Orleans, Southern Charm, New Orleans, that's back on. So there's a couple of television shows that I will change the channel to watch, but for the most part, I've just been watching tennis. And so the next person is Serena Williams. So you guys, Serena Williams announced that she was going to be on the cover of a classic Wheaties box. And so when she posted the picture, I was like, okay, Serena was already on the cover of the Wheaties box. And so I didn't pay it any attention, but then I kept seeing all these mentions and congratulations, and then articles started coming out about Serena being on this Wheaties box. So I finally stopped to read the article and to read what it was saying. And so they're saying that this is the first time that Serena has been on this Wheaties box. And I just was feeling like I was losing my mind, because not only did I think she had been on the Wheaties box before, but she was wearing the outfit in the same swinging pose that I had imagined in my mind. And so I said, okay, well, maybe I dreamt it up and it's coming, coming to pass. But then other people, when I posted about it on Facebook, was saying, I thought she had been on there before. Yeah, she has been on there before. And so then I was thinking, okay, but they say they're revealing their classic boxes. I said, okay, so maybe she was on there and now they're just doing this tribute where they're going to re-release these boxes. But I couldn't find any articles to support that notion. So we're going to go with the story and say that this is the first time that Serena has been on there. And so she posted on her Instagram and other social media. She says, in 2001, Wheaties paid homage to a true champion and an icon by putting her on the cover of a Wheaties box. And she was talking about Althea Gibson. And Althea Gibson was the first Black woman tennis player to be on the box. And so she says, today I am honored to be the second. So I said, okay, well, maybe this is the first time that she done been on the box. I don't know. I'm confused. But anyway, we're going to congratulate Serena Williams for being on the Wheaties box. And if you want a box, just to have it because it is historic, they're coming out in July, and you should be able to pick them up in your local grocery store. And then they're also saying that Serena celebrated the moment with an inspiring statement for young female athletes, and she says, I am so excited to be on the cover of the next Wheaties box. I have dreamt of this since I was a young woman, and it's an honor to join the ranks of some of America's most decorated athletes. I hope my image on this iconic orange box will inspire the next generation of girls and athletes to dream big. And then also with Serena, and then prior to the Wheaties box coming out, Serena was also in the news because she made Forbes' richest self-made women's list, and she, I believe, is the first athlete to be on that list that they came out with. And then Serena's sister Venus played at Wimbledon, because Wimbledon started today, the championships of Wimbledon. And so Venus played this little girl, Corey Coco Gauff. And she is from Florida. She's 15 years old, and they gave her a wild card into Wimbledon because she had been playing so well. And so everybody was talking about this match because this little Black girl, and I'm going to post the pictures, is this, like, she is Venus 20 years ago. Like her playing style, her movement, how she carried herself is so much like Venus. But I thought it was a good match. The commentator said that it wasn't a good match. Venus, when she did a press conference, said it wasn't a good match. I thought it was a good match. Venus lost 4-6, 4-6 to Coco. And I'm kind of, like, I love Venus to the end of the earth, but I was happy that Coco won because, y'all, if you've been following tennis, Venus will get into the second or third round. She ain't going past the third round. Haven't gone past the third round in quite some time. So I was like, even if she win, like if she teach the little girl a lesson and win, we know Venus by the third round she's going to be out. And at least Coco had this opportunity to play her idol and to actually beat her idol. And so people are always saying, why don't Venus and Serena retire? They need to let it go. And I believe that they would retire and let it go if they could pass the baton on to somebody who's not going to drop it. Because remember, we had the same situation with Serena and Naomi Osaka, and Naomi Osaka beat Serena, went on, won the U.S. Open, won the Australian Open, and now she just floundering like a fish out of water. She can't get herself together. She losing easy matches that she shouldn't be losing. She lost in the first round of Wimbledon today to a girl that done beat her in the last two tournaments, and so now she all messed up in the head, can't focus, can't get her act together. So she has dropped the baton. We're gonna see what happens with Coco, if she can toe the line and become, you know, the next great tennis player, and then Venus and Serena can go on and sit down and enjoy life after tennis. But Venus, we know, is going to be around for quite some time because she wants to play in the Olympics, and I think the Olympics is next year. So anyway, it was a good match to me. Congratulations to Coco Gauff on a phenomenal, like she played a near perfect game, and Venus hurt her own self on unforced errors, but it was a good match to me. So congratulations, Coco. And then our friend Omarosa is back in the news. So the United States government sued Omarosa last week. The former aide to President Donald Trump and reality TV star, saying that she knowingly failed to file a required public financial disclosure report after she left the White House. So the government is seeking a civil fine of up to $50,000 from Omarosa, which is probably about the amount that she made on that book, the tell-all book that she put out, who spent 11 months as Director of Communications in the White House Office of Public Liaison before her December 2017 dismissal. Omarosa, as she is typically known, was accused of violating the Ethics in Government Act by not filing the report, which was required because her salary exceeded $124,406, despite several oral and written reminders from White House ethics lawyers. And so John Phillips, a lawyer for Omarosa, in an email statement called the lawsuit premature, retaliatory, and yet another attempt to silence a dissenting voice. He said Omarosa had not filed the report because the White House withheld documents she needed to complete it, and that it was untrue to suggest her failure to file was knowing and willful, as the complaint alleged. So we'll see. They couldn't get Omarosa to stop talking about that book and put them gag orders on her about releasing stuff that she had to save from her time in the White House. So I guess they said, well, now we know how much money she made off the book, so let's go ahead and take that. So we'll see how that works out for Omarosa. And then this next story wasn't a celebrity, but it caught my eye and the eye of a whole bunch of people, including the rapper Plies, and he dropped this video. And then he dropped a video on social media about it. But basically, this Alabama woman was pregnant, and she got in a fight with a lady that she thought was messing around with her boyfriend. And as a result of the fight, the lady shot her in the stomach, and it killed her 5-month-old fetus. Well, the state of Alabama has decided that they're going to charge this woman with manslaughter because they say she started the fight. And so it says initially police charged 23-year-old Ebony Jameson for shooting 27-year-old Marshae Jones in December of 2018 outside of a Dollar General in Birmingham. But according to AL.com, a police investigation determined that it wasn't Jameson who was to blame for the shooting, it was Jones. And it says that the investigation showed that the only true victim in this was the unborn baby. Pleasant Grove Police Lieutenant Danny Reed said at the time of the shooting, it was the mother of the child who initiated and continued the fight, which resulted in the death of her unborn baby. Reed added that the fight began over the unborn baby's father and that the investigation found that Jameson was defending herself. Reed's latest statement reiterates that what he said at the time of the shooting, which was, when a 5-month pregnant woman initiates a fight and attacks another person, I believe some responsibility lies with her as to any injury to the unborn child. The child is dependent on its mother to try to keep it from harm, and she shouldn't seek out unnecessary physical altercations. Alabama recently passed a near total ban on abortion, and it's not unheard of for a woman to face jail time for miscarrying. While shocking, the case clearly delineates in most gruesome terms what we already know, that women's lives are not valued. And that was from the article that I got this story from. So here's what Plies had to say.
Ain't much that pissed me off, but this pissed me off this morning. It's a 27-year-old woman, I think her name Marshae Jones, in Alabama. She was 5 months pregnant. She got into an altercation with another female. They started fighting. The girl pulled out a gun, shot in the stomach, killed her 5-month-old child, unborn child. The shooter, they ended up dropping the charge. They said it was self-defense. No, I'm not saying it's okay to be fighting while you pregnant. But what I am saying is, they said they charging her with the death of her own unborn 5-month-old child, charged her with manslaughter because she provoked the incident. But didn't motherfucking George Zimmerman provoke Trayvon Martin? And cause Trayvon was beating his ass, the law said it was okay for him to kill him because he was losing the fight. So you trying to tell me if a woman is pregnant and she get into a car accident, and if it's her fault, you gonna charge her with the death of an unborn child? Is this just me, or this motherfucking world going crazy?
So I think the overall consensus is that this woman should not be facing manslaughter charges in this case. They could have charged her with a misdemeanor, for fighting, for starting the fight. But to say that it is her fault that somebody pulled out a gun and shot her in the course of the fight. What do you guys think? Do you think that this woman should be charged with manslaughter, or do you think she should be charged with a lesser crime, for instigating the fight? Do you think that it's because she's black? Because we always got to put the race card on there. Leave your comments and let me know what you think about this story. And then if you haven't already heard, R. Kelly's daughter, Jaah, the one, I think her name is Jojo Kelly. She's the one that came out as being transgender and said that she wanted to go through the whole process of becoming a man. And well, she had a beautiful photo spread, and I can't say the article was all that beautiful, because just like Dream Hampton with that Towanda Burke interview that she did, the person that was interviewing R. Kelly's daughter basically was so busy telling their story and what it was like for them to come out and what it was like for them facing people, who didn't accept gay people and all of that, that we kind of lost Jaah's story in all of it. And so I hate people that interview people and then make it all about them. But anyway, it's on a website called papermag.com, and I urge you to go and check it out. In the interview, we learned that she is also pursuing a music career, which I didn't know. I thought it was just Buku that was pursuing the music career. Then the article, she talks about, being a producer and a writer. So following in her father's footsteps, and they actually have a SoundCloud link in the article where you can hear her music, and she sounds much better than Joanne sounds. So kudos to Jaah for that. And then also they said in the beginning of the article that they gave her the option to talk about her dad or not to talk about her dad, and she chose not to talk about her dad. And when I say not talk about her dad, like he was not mentioned, other than them saying that she was the daughter of R. Kelly and they gave her the option not to talk about him. He was not mentioned for the rest of the article. And so I'm glad that she didn't come out and be negative, how Joanne is starting to become, because in the beginning Joanne wasn't that negative, and then even when she said things that people misconstrued as being negative, she came back and said, that's not what I meant, you're misusing my words. But since she's been on Growing Up Hip Hop, she's just running her mouth and just being disrespectful. But the article did not do any of that. They didn't mention her, but then what it did do was make it seem like Drea is this perfect mom, and Drea, has encouraged her and inspired her. So we don't get to know, like before the whole split of the family, what did he do to help encourage and support her. And she talks about bouts of depression. She doesn't say what the depression was from, but we can only imagine that the depression was from everything that's going on surrounding her father and her mother and the media and everything with the Me Too movement. And so we have to keep in mind mind how this story is impacting the kids. But overall, I thought it was a really good article on her. Even though the person that was interviewing her was kind of like trying to make it about them, but go ahead and check it out. It's at paperback.com. And then just a quick update on Growing Up Hip Hop. Having them on the show has not helped with their ratings. Growing Up Hip Hop Atlanta never had great ratings, at least not the last few years. And so the show started out this year. The opening episode was kind of in line with where they were when they ended the last season, with about a little over 500,000 viewers. By the second episode, it dropped down to like 470,000 viewers, because it seemed like they lost about 50,000 viewers between the 2 weeks. And so then I checked out the ratings for last Thursday, and it had dropped even further down. And so I don't know if people are just over Growing Up Hip Hop, if there are a lot of people that are boycotting the show because they have Drea and the kids on there. I'm not sure, but I know on the previews that I've been seeing for this week's episode, Drea is going to be talking about him getting arrested, and how, she was supposed to have been so shocked when she saw in the news that he couldn't make bail, and so he had to go to jail. And so they've gotten the footage, and that's what I was trying to explain to people in some of my other videos. They were saying, well, they've already filmed Growing Up Hip Hop. And I'm like, yeah, they filmed so many episodes, and then I think they take a break and they come back. I said, but, if she's trying to secure a spot on the show and she wants to come back on the show, she has to continue to have footage. And so that's what I'm saying, when she's doing all this about the child support, and she's, showing up at court now when before she wasn't showing up at court. That's all to get footage in case they invite her to come back. And so I don't know if Growing Up Hip Hop Atlanta is going to be renewed for another season. Maybe the viewership that they have is good for WeTV, whereas it would be horrible for another network. A bigger network would not keep them on there. So it'll be interesting to see if they invite Drea and the kids back for another season, or if the show even gets picked up again. And then my last story is about Queen Latifah. So Queen Latifah announced that she was getting into the real estate business, and she was going to build this low-income housing in Newark, New Jersey. And she made this announcement some time ago, but they were supposed to break ground this summer. And so I did a follow-up to see, what was going on with that, and if she was still going to do it. And so what I found out is that the people that she was going into business with, they weren't able to get the low income tax credit, where they could have, offered this housing to probably Section 8 people or lower income people. But they decided to, instead of just canceling the whole project, they decided to revise it. So now the project, instead of having like all of these units that are, for low income families, is going to consist of 20 buildings with 3 family townhouses with market rates units and a 3-story mixed use building. That building will contain 1,900 square feet of commercial space for local nonprofits, as well as a fitness center and 16 units of affordable housing. And this facility is actually going to be located on Springfield Avenue and 17th Street. And they say that the project is scheduled to begin construction this summer. And the 60 units of market rate housing are expected to be completed December 2020. And the mixed use building will be done the following year in 2021. So you guys, if you're in the Newark area and you're looking for affordable housing, keep your eye out for this project that Queen Latifah is doing. And hopefully, if it is successful, she will do more ventures and hopefully eventually get the low income family tax credit, so that she can help more people. Because they were talking about the rent on these buildings that she's doing is going to be $1,800 a month. And I'm like, my God, like how much do the people in Newark actually make? Because we have like a big apartment boom going on here. And my daughter had went to check out one of the newest buildings that's getting ready to open, and she came back and said they wanted $1,800 a month for a 570 square foot efficiency, like a do they call it those studios where you don't have the bedroom, like everything is right there together. But whatever it was too much money. And I get offers from people all the time telling me they want to buy my house. I'm like, are you crazy? Do you think I would sell my house in the current market? I would never be able to afford to buy another house that's comparable to this house if I sell you my house. So no, I'm not doing that because I ain't got $1,800 to be paying anybody, and I'm just not doing it, okay? Because at the current rate, I can work when I want to, how I want to, and make however much money I need to make for what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to be going back out here getting a job to be trying to pay off a mortgage. So good luck to Queen Latifah, and kudos on your efforts. That's it for me. Leave your comments below, rate the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.